I am no stranger to making videos about Razer and their mobile endeavors. When this channel first started, we actually made a video talking about how the Nintendo Switch would succeed where the Razer's Edge failed. And for the most part, I was right. I mean, there were some things that did change here and there, but it's still a pretty interesting video. And if you really want to see some cringe, I'll leave a card right up here for you. That being said, we also did a video before Razer announced their Joycon-like controllers about why controllers on Android suck. We did everything in our power in that video to turn the Razer phone into a game console because personally, the hardware is there. The software is not. And those conclusions mostly still stand. But Razer did something interesting that fixes a lot of it. And today, we're gonna talk about it because I bought Razer's Joycon like controllers for cell phone, and I'm honestly surprised at how well it works. So to say I was skeptical that this was going to work in any way when purchasing it would be a bit of an understatement. I initially thought that this video was going to pretty much be hardware's good, software still sucks. And it started that way. As I was testing this product, I discovered that yeah, hardware is good. The phone case itself is a harder plastic than your typical silicone case, but that is because it needs to have these thick rails that allow the controllers to just kind of slide on. Sliding the controllers on does have a very satisfying click, much like a Nintendo Switch, and the feel of the controller is actually pretty good. The actual grip here is more or less the same as a Switch, just a little bit smaller. The thumbsticks actually feel exactly the same, which is kind of impressive given the fact that this is a smaller controller. The triggers are actually clickier, as you can hear, and they actually have a very good tactile click to them, which is nice because it means that even with the size of the controller, you can always tell between which trigger you're actually pressing as they have a slightly different sound. The A, B, X, Y buttons also have a nice click to them. There is a start and select button, and they have a completely different feel and click as well, along with a D-pad, which is actually not mushy, but it's also not the clickiest. It's somewhere in between. It's not bad, but it's not good either. So essentially you have all the same controls that you would on a traditional controller or a Nintendo Switch, and they can be used completely separated from the device due to the fact that they are always Bluetooth connected. The way they connect to Bluetooth is pretty much like any other separated wireless device, where one device works as the main connection and the other one works as a secondary. You can actually choose this, which is rather interesting. The devices are both set into sort of pairing mode at the same time, and if you find that it works better on one side over the other, you can actually set which one you want to actually be the main device. This is actually really useful because not all phones have their Bluetooth receivers in the same spot, and if you find that one works better than the other, you at least have that option. Both of them charge completely separately using USB-C, which is rather weird as it does come with its very own grip. That could have been used as the charging carrying case if they really wanted to, but Razer did not seem to think that one up. In fact, this piece right here is kind of the weirdest part. Unlike Nintendo, they didn't actually make any sort of grip to it. A sort of really flat controller. And it does work like this, but you introduce some problems when doing this. Android has an issue with Bluetooth latency. It's actually what ultimately killed the controller experience for me when I was using it in the other video. These controllers, when they are next to the phone, have almost no latency, which is honestly important for gaming and actually having a more tactile gaming experience. But, and there is a huge but, if you actually use them in this configuration and connect to the TV, you need to move your phone halfway between you and the TV if you want to keep that connection going. Because unfortunately, you will lose connection if you go too far away. And the latency introduced does become rather annoying in very specific situations. That all being said, overall, this doesn't feel bad. Your hands are gonna get a little cramped due to the size, especially when you've got hands like mine. I mean, the two controllers together fit into the palm of my hand. Their size is a factor that does deter your experience with these controllers, but because of the buttons, because of the sticks, because of the triggers and the shoulder buttons, it still ends up being more comfortable than just gaming on your phone, which is important because, well, that's the market to this, so that you can game more precisely and more comfortably than if you were just using the touchscreen alone. Now, if you do buy these, you are going to want to download the Razer Gamepad app. Now, I downloaded this app when it came out, actually a couple weeks after that video had gone live, but it actually really only had a few useful features, including the ability to vet out games that don't have controller support. And this is actually way more important than it seems, because believe it or not, Google Play Store has a crappy filtering system when it comes to that. In fact, it's so bad that if you type in controller support on the search, you'll get some games that have controller support and then some that do not. In fact, I ended up finding Mario Kart Tour on the list of games with controller support, decided to boot it up and just see if the controller would work, and no, it does not. All in all, that would be useful on its own, and that is where the original video that I was recording about this would have ended, except I started to play with the app a little bit more with these controllers in hand, and well, I discovered something. You see, in our original video, we used a piece of software called Octopus. And I did not recommend Octopus because Octopus introduced latency. The way Octopus worked was it created a virtual machine of your Android phone that it then used to put the overlays that then connected to the controller. That worked, but with the Bluetooth latency and Octopus's latency, it just created problems. Razer, though, has gone the extra mile and has built it right into the app. Not only does Octopus run, but it runs flawlessly for the most part. There are some issues, but again, that's because we're technically not doing something that the game expects, and so there are dropped inputs occasionally, but not necessarily lag, which is completely different. I have a game on here that I also have on my PC that I actually used as a benchmark. The game is called Muse Dash. And the reason I bring this game up is it's actually a rhythm-based game where precise inputs are important and where I can test the touchscreen versus the controller buttons, also against the mouse and keyboard. I paid for this game again, just so that I could have it on my phone. Essentially, I needed those precise inputs. With my finger inputs, I actually messed up quite a bit. With this controller though, I did quite well. And it's actually very similar to my performance on PC. And since the game ran well using Octopus, I decided to test this with a couple of other games that aren't supported, but kind of should be. Elder Scrolls Blades is a game that you can play on your Switch, and it has controller support there, but it does not on mobile. I've had Elder Scrolls Blades installed for months, and I just haven't been able to get into it just because of the fact that I can't play it comfortably. Now, I have all that stuff mapped. These are my special skills, these are my stamina skills, my attacks are the shoulder buttons, I've got full controller support when walking around. It's awesome. It's a good game when you can play it properly. And it has made me come to the realization that mobile hardware, mobile gaming, is not horrible because of the hardware. It's not horrible because of the controller support or Bluetooth. It's not horrible because of anybody who's actually building mobile. It's all the developer's fault. And I actually did say something along those lines before. The truth of the matter is, Bethesda should already have controller support. MuseDash should have already had controller support as it has it on PC, but it didn't. Minecraft does have full controller support and it works flawlessly when you use it. Games like Rayman Adventure have complete and total controller support, and it gets rid of the wonky mobile run mechanic that they had in the game. In fact, it plays like a normal Rayman game after that, which is fascinating because it did not do that previously. I picked up GTA Vice City on mobile and it works well entirely because it has controller support. My point is, we were able to turn the Razer phone into sort of a Nintendo Switch this time, but until we can seriously get together, us developers, everybody who develops video games, until we can get together and come up with a way to actually get games that are good on the mobile platform, it's always going to suffer. Here's what I think we need to do. I'm speaking to every developer out there, anybody who wants to make a video game and is thinking of making a game. I think we need to get together and make games that are actually good for Android and iOS that use controllers. More importantly though, we need to actually somehow figure out a way to create a store that only allows games with controller support. That way that users who are kind of a bit more casual and don't necessarily know how to read a Google Store page would be able to actually find games that natively support things like this. Because devices like this actually make it worth it to play mobile games. I personally have killed my phone battery 3 times in a single day just because of the fact that I was using these to play. And honestly, they are a true game changer. And Razer has made moves to actually make mobile gaming worth it. For the first time ever, when I'm talking about a Razer mobile product, I'm saying that Razer has actually moved the needle. Razer has pretty much primed the Razer Phone 3 when it inevitably comes out to actually make a difference. And I know Asus is going to build off of this as well. I mean, Asus already has sort of a key mapping feature, but now that Razer also has it, Razer and Asus are 2 big players. Red Cinema is making phones with game-specific features now. And as gamers, like myself, or like you watching this, actually start to buy devices like this, we'll be able to slowly change that entire ecosystem. Because right now, the reason that the crap that is on there is because that's what's making money. Because everybody and their mom has a cell phone. We need to change this platform in a way that makes it so that it doesn't suck for us. Because I know that when I'm playing a game like Asphalt 8, it drives me absolutely nuts that I can't just pay for a version of the game without all of the mobile BS. I would prefer a Steam, like Valve, seriously, you guys have mobile content on Steam. Just whatever game comes out on Steam, make a version of Steam for mobile that allows us to actually buy good games, because it's not a matter of the hardware being there, it's just the matter of the software. Valve, if you are somehow listening, I know Razer is listening, they did everything I said, but Valve, if you are listening, somehow, make Steam mobile. Like, make a Steam mobile that sells the games that are already in Steam that were ported for mobile with controller support. And I will probably download it and love the hell out of it. Because in reality, this is good hardware, but mobile is filled with bad software. Thank you guys for watching. I don't generally do videos about mobile. I actually tend to stay away from that topic because, well, gaming PC. I do a lot of PC related content, and if you guys actually want to see me delve into more mobile related content, let me know. I mean, it's still technology and I still enjoy playing with it, but I'm being honest, the amount of filth that's on the Google Play Store is just pathetic. It's also on the Apple Store. They're just there. There's bad games and bad monetization practices. And we've been able to fight them back on console, and we've been able to fight them back on PC. And I think it's time that we, liberate mobile from this. And I really do think that the only way we can do that is to literally make a store, maybe even have somebody who already is well trusted in the industry make a store that is catered to this kind of content. Thank you guys again. Wolfie out.